All right, I'm Brad,
I'm Willie.
and we're going to talk to you about safety gear and safety gear for your body and for your car at the SCCA Hillclimb events. So we've got some of Willie's safety gear laid out here in his garage. We're going to start with his current driver suit. This is a Simpson. Notice it says 32A5. That's a two-layer suit or a multi-layer suit. If you have this suit, you don't have to wear any Nomex or fireproof undergarments with the suit. If you have a 32A1 suit, then you'll have to wear Nomex undergarments, which we have laid out here. So you'll have to buy these and wear these. They're very hot if you have a single layer suit. Single layer suit, here's an old suit. SFI 32A1 is a single layer suit. This designation, 32A1, requires undergarments. 32A5 does not require undergarments. Okay? Here's a current helmet. This is Willie's current helmet. And helmets have to be sport application approved. And that's shown through the use of an SA Snell sticker. Here, this sticker, if you can see it, says SA 2010. So they're good for 10 years at the Hillclimb. So Willie will have to get a new sticker, a new helmet this year. And then if you have facial hair, like a beard, you're required to wear a balaclava. And these are also SFI certified. Note that the SFI certification doesn't run out for Hillclimb events, but a balaclava is required if you have facial hair like I do. It's not very expensive. You may want to shave if you want to save $7 to $10.
It also is good for wicking sweat off your head so it doesn't get in your helmet real bad. And that's why I don't really have facial hair anymore. But I wear one just to keep the sweat from getting in my helmet.
It's also great if you're going to autocross and you have to share a loaner helmet, things like that. Here's Willie's current gloves. The glove requirement, we just have to have a fireproof glove. So there's all kinds of gloves out there. Find the ones that fit the best for you. A lot of people like a leather palm or a partial leather palm because it's easier to grip the steering wheel. They do come with a full Nomex or Kevlar palm. It depends on your feeling. So here is the arm restraints. And a lot of people have a lot of questions about arm restraints. And Willie can show you how you put those on. So it's interesting. You think that they're gonna be a problem, but when you get in the car and you have them fastened, you really don't even notice them. What they're designed to do is keep your arms inside the car if there's an incident.
And then this hooks right to your seatbelt latch. And then once it's hooked up, I mean, you've got good freedom, but it keeps you from your arms flinging around if there was ever an incident.
Now, if you have a window net in your car, you're not required to have the arm restraints. However, the only legal way to have a window net is to have a full cage in your car so that the window net attaches to the cage. So if you don't have a full cage, if you just have the minimum roll bar requirement, then you'll be required to have these arm restraints. Then we'll move on to, it's always best to have a pair of shoes that aren't going to get in your way, that you're comfortable with driving, that fit the pedals nicely. Also, fireproof is good on shoes. You definitely have to have a leather upper on whatever shoes you wear. You can't go barefoot, I'm sorry to say. So if you drive like that, you're going to have to learn to change. In addition to your safety gear, you'll want to make sure you have a couple of good gear bags or one good gear bag to keep your stuff in. It's very handy. I like to keep all my stuff together all the time. I've got my shoes in here, got my suit in here, I got my balaclava in here. Gloves, everything I need. It's got some side pockets so I can put my nasty, dirty stuff in there. Got my helmet bag. So get yourself some cheap bags. They don't have to be anything too expensive because it's race gear, really. You don't use it that often. So here's my current Hillclimb car. It's 1993 Miata. It's got some customization. So this runs the Street Unlimited class. It's prepared beyond street prepared classes. So we'll be using this as part of our demonstration. The car runs fairly competitive for what it is. It won't keep up with Willie's car in its current configuration, but It's a supercharged 1.8 liter. It's got some wide tires and a little bit of aero on it, and the safety equipment that it needs. So some other safety equipment on the car. I've got a tow strap on this car. It's not actually required, but it's always a good idea in case, you know, something bad happens and you don't want them to have to yank your car out by a control arm or something like that. Safety gear inside this car. This car we replace the driver's seat. It's not required that you replace the driver's seat, but you do have to have the shoulder harnesses, and they have to go in a fashion that they're going to work. So you might have to take a look, and we'll show you in Willie's car. His comes with a factory seat that does allow the driver's harnesses to go through. So in this case, we have a 5-point harness in the car. Inexpensive Crow Enterprises harness. They say buy safety gear that's the same value as your life, so I buy cheap safety gear and Willie buys expensive safety gear. We hear a lot of comments about people talking that they heard they need a fire suppression system. You actually only need a fire bottle, and here's a simple bottle that we purchased from one of the Hillclimb sponsors. Here's a fire extinguisher. This is the minimum requirement on a fire extinguisher. It has to have a gauge to show that it's charged. This is a 2.5 pound fire extinguisher. It's a 10 BC. This is a bicarbonate fire extinguisher. So this meets the minimum rules. You're not required to have a fire suppression system for hill climbs. You're only required to have this bottle, and it has to be located in a place that the driver can get to it while buckled in the car. Also, every car has to have rollover protection. So a roll bar that has at minimum cross bracing, and it has to have down tubes that go backward, and hopefully we'll have Corey here with his car that doesn't have these legal down tubes, but it has what they call a petty bar that goes from the front down to the passenger side that meets the requirement for the down tubes. Also, when you have the roll bar, you're required to have padding on the roll bar anywhere that your head or your body parts can come in contact with the roll protection structure. It's a good idea. I was at a race in Baja one time and the truck flipped and there was no padding on the roll bar, and after the roll bar bent, and I got beat up pretty bad during the rest of that race. It was not a fun experience, so I definitely recommend roll bar padding from experience. In a Miata, you have a good selection of ready-made roll bars. This one's a hard dog, single diagonal hard top bar, and you'll see these bars come with everything that you need already done. You can also get custom bars. Auto Power makes roll bars. Kirky makes roll bars. There's several manufacturers of roll bars for all your needs. And then let's talk about the belts. We have wraparound belts. One of the requirements for the belts is that they be individual shoulder harnesses, none of those Y-type harnesses. So individual shoulder harnesses, we prefer the wraparound. A lot of people will bolt them to a bolt spot on the roll bar, but this is a wraparound type. This is a 5-point harness, which is the minimum. You can also use a 6-point harness. You can see with the race seat, it comes up through the seat. A quick latch on here is just a simple device to get out of the car. When we look at Willie's car, we'll show you another device, which will be a cam lock device. Oh, you don't have a cam lock
mine's
device.
Mine's a latch too.
Oh, well, I have a cam lock device hanging in my closet, so maybe we'll show you that later.
We're not going to go there.
Yeah. It was to go in this car, but it may go in Lance's car. Anyway, another thing on the safety harness is the certification. This is certified June 2020 is when it expires. However, for hill climbs, there's no expiration date on the harness, so you can use an older harness as long as it's in good condition. So you want to check to make sure that all these joints where it's put together are not frayed or worn in any way. So as long as the harness is in good condition and has an SFI rating, even if that rating's expired, it's going to be legal for the hill climb. Willie and I run in the same class with two very different cars. You can see Willie's car is prepared a little differently than mine. He's not running aero, and he didn't have a tow strap in the front because he's smart enough to keep his car on the road.
No, I do have one though.
Oh, he does have one. So here's Willie's car. A modified Focus RS. Willie's going to show us some of the things he's got done to his car.
So I have pretty much the same belt system like Brad does. It's a 5-point shoulder harness, flat belt, and the substrap. On my substrap, I built, I don't think Brad's going to be able to capture it on video, but I built a bar that bolts into the original seat.
No, I guess we can't see under there.
And the substrap hooks to that. So
Willie also has this cross chest harness, which is very good, especially if you're not running a seat with the harness holes in it. This cross chest harness will keep the harness close together.
And then I run the wraparound belts also. I'm a fan of those rather than bolting it to the bar. And then basically I have a very similar bottle to what Brad has. It's a 2.5 pound bottle, same 2BC, and I can reach around and get to it and pretty much unharness it from where I sit.
You can see Willie's running clip-in belts, so he's put eye bolts through the floor, or through probably the stock locations.
Yes.
And then his belts clip onto those. And then you can see he's also got belt guides on his roll bar that keep his belts tight up against the side of his seat rest to keep them from separating further. This is a very important safety feature. If the belts aren't holding you in, then they're not doing any good. And then Willie has is this a custom roll bar, Willie?
Yeah, this one's built by Watson Racing.
Okay.
And it's a bolt-in bar, it's not a weld-in.
So it comes back and it meets the safety requirements for a roll bar for SCCA. And remember, you don't have to have a full cage if you're running a street class for SCCA hill climbs. You can just have this 4-point bar, remember the diagonal bar, and then some type of harness location. And so those are the requirements for the safety.